Hey, what's up, Cart Masters? Nightside back for the first time in a very long time with a very new, exciting video. Capcom graciously invited me to try out the new Monster Hunter Wilds demo that was featured at Gamescom, which means I got some hands-on time with none other than the Longsword. We're going to break down all the changes I came across, in addition to some things that I'm currently speculating, in addition to things that I wasn't able to test. Some things that I'd like to mention before we start. First of all, I shared my station and game time with a friend, so my demo time was closer to about 30 to 40 minutes, and I did not play any of the tutorials. This is also an early build of the game, which means that things can potentially change once the game fully releases. This video will also assume that you have basic understanding of Longsword's mechanics, whether it be from Iceborne or Sunbreak. Now, once again, huge thanks to the team at Capcom for graciously inviting me and my good friend DJ Johnny for a chance to taste Monster Hunter Wilds. And now, Longsword lovers, let's get to it. Let's start off with the new additions to Longsword's kit. For starters, we have something called the Spirit Charge, which is exactly what it sounds. When you hold R2 down, it allows you to charge up into Spirit Blade 3 or go right into Round Slash. Spirit Release is the new follow-up attack immediately available after Helmbreaker. It is effectively your new Helmbreaker string finisher, costs 1 spirit level, and has you automatically sheath your weapon. Now, if I'm not mistaken, it also feels like you get super armor too, as I noticed I didn't get knocked away from what should have been a very heavy attack from the Ray Dao. Focus mode is the new general mechanic given to all weapons, but Longsword's focus attack is called the Unbound Thrust, which has the hunter performing a lunging thrust where the reticle is facing. A couple of the things that I noticed is that if your reticle doesn't highlight or make contact with a wounded spot, as indicated by the red scout flies, the attack stops at the thrust. However, if you do make contact, it allows you to follow up with either a V-slash, which I'm assuming is a neutral directional input, or a spinning lateral slash, both of which causes the wounded spot to detonate in delayed anime fashion. While mounted on a sacred, you're also able to do weapon attacks. I didn't manage to test this extensively, so I can't really comment on the practicality of this or if there's any combo strings or special attacks while riding the sacred. Now let's talk about the actual changes to Longsword's kit. Your overhead slash becomes the Crimson Slashes. Your Foresight slash turns into the Foresight Whirl slash, where the hunter will now jump twirl backwards while getting a small attack in. Finally, the Spirit Round Slash. It's still the same, but you're able to chain into spinning Crimson Slash, which can then chain into Special Sheath or Crimson Slash. The turn radius also looks like it's still pretty wide. Now, if it isn't already obvious, Monster Hunter Wilds' iteration of Longsword is all about fluidity and control. And how this gets translated into the kit is via directional movement. Your spirit combos can be moved directionally, which effectively affects your hunter's positional movement as opposed to other iterations of Longsword where it only slightly changes your angle. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure your position can also be directionally affected during the Crimson Slashes. Spirit Thrust and Helmbreaker is largely unchanged, with the exception of 2 things. The overall speed of both attacks is noticeably faster when compared to Iceborne, which is honestly a really nice change. Helmbreaker did actually receive one small but very huge change, which is the ability to sheath in midair. If you think you're about to whiff or you didn't mean to use Helmbreaker, you can now press square or R1 to sheath, which will cause your hunter to cancel out of the animation with 0 spirit level loss. Now, the Special Sheath and EI Spirit Slash also have big, noticeable changes. Special Sheath now has a much smaller turning radius while going into the stance. While in Iceborne and in Sunbreak, you are actually able to control the direction your hunter is facing within 360 degrees, much like the Foresight Slash. In Wilds, however, you only have maybe maximum 20 to 30 degrees of angle correction. The EI Spirit Slash is quite literally the perfect marriage between Iceborne and Sunbreak's iteration of the attack. When you whiff the counter, there is absolutely no spirit loss. However, if you proc the counter correctly, you immediately gain 1 spirit level, which means you can go from a yellow EI Spirit Slash into a red Helmbreaker. Now, once you've done the EI Spirit Slash, you are unable to immediately sheath like you could in Sunbreak. You basically have to wait until the animation is over. Now let's talk about the attack chains for Longsword. Longsword attack chains should be largely unchanged. Foresight Slash is still great for directional repositioning and can still be cancelled into Spirit Thrust or Special Sheath. While the angle of Special Sheath is severely limited, you can still chain it from virtually most attacks. Spirit Regen is also still a thing from EI Slash. The biggest noticeable change in chaining comes from Round Slash. Instead of just sheathing or going into Special Sheath, you can now chain into the Overhead Slash. Or if you're in Red Spirit level, it'll now chain into Spirit Crimson Slash, which can then be chained into regular Crimson Slashes or your other cancels like Foresight Slash or Special Sheath. Last but not least, the mounted finisher for Longsword is extremely flashy. The Monster Hunter team really wanted to solidify the flashiness of Longsword and drove it a kajillion miles in the anime flare direction. And honestly, I'm all for it. Now to end off the video, here are some things that I'd love to test in the future. If and when we get Quick Sheath, how will it affect the following? Special Sheath, especially since it was basically useless in Iceborne, but super fast and basically a necessary armor skill in Sunbreak. Spirit Release, as the finisher causes you to sheath your weapon. I'm wondering if it'll be affected by Quick Sheath in the same vein as Sacred Sheath, as it was affected by Quick Sheath as well. How much focus affects Spirit Gain or Spirit Regen? If EI Slash gets Hyper Armor like it did in World. If Spirit Release is usable while in Red Spirit level. The practicality of riding attacks on the Sacred. The strictness of timing on Foresight Slash versus EI Spirit Slash. And if Aerial Spirit Blade is any different while in Red Spirit level. This should basically sum up everything I was able to try with Longsword during my limited time with the demo. I was able to kill the Doshiguma with little to no troubles, and I'm pretty sure I was about halfway through Raid Dal, but unfortunately my time with the demo came to an end as we had to swap demo stations. Overall, I firmly believe that Monster Hunter Wilds' iteration of Longsword has possibly the most dramatic changes to the kit when compared to a majority of the mainline games. Longsword has always boasted high attack power through fluidity and control, and still remains insanely flashy and satisfying to play. I think the changes will throw a lot of hunters for a spin, but will ultimately win them over by how much the Longsword has evolved and improved. If I missed anything or made a mistake, please feel free to notate that in the comments. I'll be at TwitchCon this year, and if streaming boosts are available for Monster Hunter Wilds, and if I can snag one by appointment, let me know what weapons you'd be interested in seeing for another weapons breakdown. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more Monster Hunter and variety content from yours truly. That's all for me, Cart Masters. As always, stay safe, get mad, get sad, have fun, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. Woo! Let's go. Easiest of claps, man. Hello?